Hello everybody, my name is Aceface. We're going to be testing the Caracal Navy issue in the Abyss. There's a particular reason I'm testing out this ship in the Abyss, and it's actually because a viewer recommended that they would like me to test this fit out. Because this guy, he's called Quickshot, he sent me a mail and saying that, "Oh Aceface, what do you think about this fit? And also, if it's possible, could you please test it?" Because he said that he didn't have enough money to risk losing it. And he said that he would prefer to have someone with a bit more experience in the Abyss test it and just see what I think. So I can already say here that this fit, I've messaged Quickshot and I've told him what I would prefer to change this. And I probably would like to have this have a bit more DPS. Now, I'm not sure what tier he would like to do. He was not specific in what kind of tier he wants to do. But he was pointing out that the Caracal Navy issue is able to get a decent amount of passive tank for the price. So you don't have to have a crazy amount of ISK spent and you get a pretty hefty beefy tank here. Because it's like a full passive tank fit. But this is like a rapid light fit. That's a big downside in that rapid lights have a very long reload time. So you see this says 471 DPS, like whoa, that's a lot of DPS. But then the thing is, when you have to factor in the reload time that is really, really long on the rapid lights, then it becomes 323 DPS. So you're wasting a lot of DPS in that regard. When it comes to say like a Gila, I often would put rapid lights on it because rapid lights is like just a complementary DPS. It's not the main source of DPS. On a Gila, the main source of the DPS are the drones. And the rapid lights are good in some ways. They've got a pretty long range and they're also really good at applying. So what I say is rapid lights, in my experience, are usually good on cruisers as like a complementary DPS. So that's a bit of a downside of using it here. But they will apply good, so that's just something to know that we will not have really much trouble with the small stuff. But generally speaking, we are going to have a rough time getting the sites done in a timely manner. And especially since we've not got any damage modules, we're going to be going T3. I felt like T3 was the level of Abyss filament that is appropriate for this fit here, because T4 I think is too much. He didn't, as I said before, specify what kind of levels of fits he would like to do. Oh, we've actually got some implants in that are good. Okay, that's good. Alright, so we'll grab this Caracal then and get out of here. Also, you could probably think that a certain type of, like you could say, weather effect I would optimally want to do in this ship. And I was thinking a little bit about it, and you could want to perhaps use gamma filament. Gamma filaments are going to profoundly buff HP per second of the shields. But the thing is, I think that will make the sights take a really long time to do, because we're already sort of limited on the DPS we have. If you buff the enemy's tank even more, it's going to take so long to get through the sight. And we've already got a pretty decent tank, so I don't think we need to buff our tank even more. Because in the gamma sights, it both buffs the enemy's shields, but also our shields. So it's like both makes everything overall a bit more tankier. I don't think we need that. We want something that is a bit fast and quick and easy. So that's why I opted in for electricals. And electricals, the reason I went for electricals is because they don't buff any kind of, like you could say, aspect of the tank. They make it so that EM resist is reduced. Otherwise, they make it so that EM resist is reduced and you get better capacitor recharge rate. But that's nothing really that is applicable to us, because we don't use capacitor really with this ship apart from the Afterburner. But reduced EM resist, we don't have to worry about that because we're already sitting on 0% EM resist. This is just like brute force tanking with HP per second of shields. But the main reason I wanted to go for electric is just because of the fact that it doesn't buff any kind of tank. So these sights are probably going to go a bit quicker than otherwise a Gamma or Firestorm sights. Then you might wonder, why wouldn't I go for then the Dark or the exotic sights? And the reason I didn't go for Dark is I was thinking that since we've got these rapid light missiles, even though they apply really well, they're still going to have a little bit harder time applying to the small frigates in the dark sights, because in the dark sights, stuff flies around really fast, a lot faster than it would do in other types of sights, because dark sights buff the speed. So that's why I was thinking it's going to be a bit harder to apply. Maybe the sight will go a bit slower. Then I was also considering to do exotics. The reason I did not go for exotics is because the price of the filament is pretty expensive. Electrics are also pretty expensive at 1.3 million, but the exotics are even more expensive. So I felt like I may as well go for electric, since I anyway don't have any EM resist. I don't need to think about like losing out on a lot of tank. In fact, I don't lose any tank in terms of our shields. So he linked Quickshot, he linked the fit with the warriors. I swapped them out for Acolytes because we don't want to have explosive drones in the electrical sites because EM resist is reduced here. Likewise, we're going to be using EM based missiles as well. So when you're using rapid light like Caracal, Cerberus, these types of ships, you're going to always notice in the beginning like, whoa, this is going so good, my rapid lights are amazing, you know, I'm doing so much damage. But then sooner or later you're going to get to that dreaded reload time and it'll not be fun. I'm telling you, it's not going to be fun. I did test using a rapid light Cerberus a long time ago, and the Cerberus was barely able to do a T2, but it was a T2 Dark though. It was a T2 Dark, and T2 Dark does not reduce any kind of resist, and it also makes stuff go quicker. So I mentioned before that Darks would take a bit slower because NPCs are moving very fast, but something I forgot to mention also is that it will also take longer time to do because of the fact that no resist is reduced in the dark sides, unlike the exotic and electrical sides we're doing here. I think we'll have more tank in the electrical sides here because since we got 0% EM resist, that is not going to be affected. If we were in the exotic sides, then it would reduce our kinetic resist, so we would have lower overall Omni tank, you could say. Okay, so here we go. We've got this reload time, and this is the problem here. Like, we're just sitting here, and we're going to have to sit here for a long time. Like good 30 seconds, I think that's what the reload time is, I believe. And I think these reload times are even longer when you've got lower skills. I've got perfect skills. I'm not sure if this reload time is affected, but you're going to be doing less damage. Everything's going to go a lot slower if you have worse skills. So we're sort of in a best case scenario when it comes to destroying stuff quickly because of the skills I've got on my character. Okay, good to have some drones to just supplement our DPS slightly. But it's always a bit of a difficult situation when you've got unbonus light drones. They just fall like flies. Not like the Gila that buffs its drones with big amounts of HP. But it seems like, I mean, this room is going alright, but this kind of room is, you could say, the one that benefits the most from our fit, because we're going rapid light fit that is going to be able to apply well. Not a lot of DPS though. And when I say not a lot of DPS, I mean not a lot of DPS over time. We then benefit facing the enemies like the rogue drones. Because these rogue drones are tiny little frigates, they're going to be usually a bit more difficult to apply to, but we're able to sort of take advantage of our fit by using the rapid lights. But if we encounter, say, Ephialtes or even worse, battleship rooms, application is not going to do anything. Like, this is actually a good example of one, and we'll see how long this takes. The Charybdis Tyrannus room is a very, very annoying room because it will take quite a bit of time to actually get through this. Let's reload, and we'll go in a bit of an arc. Because here, our application doesn't matter at all. The only thing that matters is our raw DPS over time, and that is going to be pretty low due to us using the rapid lights. Okay, do we have entanglers? Yeah, we've got 4 entanglers, so I'll go for them first. Now this is also a bit of a deadly situation because we've got really massively passive shielded ship, and we're using a compact afterburner as well, so we're not going particularly fast. We're going to have to go a little bit to the edge here because we're taking a ton of damage. Luckily we've not got any webs on us now. No webs, because there are 2 webbers on the grid, but we're not taking any damage. We need to go perpendicular to him, because if we go just like a 90-degree angle from Charybdis, we do have a chance of surviving, even though he seems to have a pretty good time hitting us. But when we got big passive shield ships like we've got here, because we're going all passive fit, that makes it so that our signature radius is really big. All these extenders, I only got 2 extenders actually, but it makes our signature radius quite a bit bigger. That makes it easier for Mr. Charybdis over here to hit us. Now, I'm actually very happy with that region. That region was looking really nice over there. But it seems like it's very difficult for us to get close to Charybdis, actually, without getting absolutely annihilated in terms of our shields. We're always losing shields. This moment we decide to come a little bit closer to Charybdis. Let's recall these drones because they seem to be scrambling all the way out there. Unfortunate the Scylla over there almost died, but I'm going to lose drones. In fact, I've already lost a drone. Probably should lock some of these guys up here. Can we get a bit closer? It's difficult to get close to Charybdis because you want to get that arc going on so you can't get hit, but then at the same time you want to get closer. Let's deploy our drones again. Now we lost one of these Imperial Navy Acolytes there, a little bit on the pricier side of drones, going about for 1 million ISK each. They're not the cheapest of light drones. You could go cheaper with Tech 2 drones, but you would require more skills to be able to use them. They also have more tank, these guys here. Oh, come on, taking so much damage, and my drones getting smashing shots. I'm really taking so much damage. This is really important when it comes to maneuvering around Charybdis Tyrannus. You need to go in these angles. You're going to be taking so much damage otherwise. Look, I'm taking so much damage. Penetrating shot. What is the range on these? 32 kilometers, okay. Now we can perhaps deploy our drones without getting absolutely annihilated. I thought we were going to die there before initially when we were taking tons of damage because it didn't seem like anything was making a difference by altering the vector or anything. It wasn't making any difference in how much damage we were taking, but it did in the end when I did a hard turn from the Charybdis so that we could miss a lot of the shots. One thing though is that Charybdis can actually spawn next to these multi-body tracking pylons, and I think it might be what happened actually. Maybe Charybdis was in range of this multi-body tracking pylon because this has a range of 40 kilometers where it makes everything in range have increased tracking. So if Charybdis Tyrannus is in range in one of them, it'll have an easier time hitting us than it otherwise would be. So that could be why Charybdis was able to hit us as well a lot. Maybe it wasn't my maneuvering. But in the unlucky situation or unlucky case where you have Charybdis in range of one of these, it's not going to be a good time because you'll be taking so much more damage. And especially if it's a short range one, because this was now a medium range one that have got pretty big range of 40 kilometers. You can encounter the short range ones as well, actually. The, I think, 15 or 20 kilometer range, but they buff Charybdis Tyrannus' tracking much more than the medium ones. So even though it's harder for Charybdis to stay in range of the short range ones, they're much more potent and it's going to hit you hard. So I think that here we needed a bit more HP per second to be able to tank Charybdis, face tank Charybdis. But, I mean, we do have still a decent amount of regen, but it was not feeling so safe when we were just flat out taking all the damage from Charybdis. Gilas I would use in T4s, 5s and even 6s. I can actually have enough tank on those ships that I just go straight at Charybdis and I still am able to survive, assuming there are no other assuming there are no other associated cruisers that usually cause the DPS to ramp up in terms of this spawn here. In terms of this whole room here. Okay, great. So we've taken care of that. We should probably reload here. This is a good thing though, that you can use the rapid heavy's reload time to your advantage. So say you're like moving between sites, you're thinking of what to do, you're sort of in between gates, etc. You can always initiate the reload and then you're sort of not getting that time wasted. You're using that time to reload your rapid lights, because even though I prefer to not use rapid lights as a sole weapon system because you can use other weapon systems that have a more constant rate of damage. You have to also remember that when you're in the Abyss, you're not going to be constantly doing damage. There is going to be a little bit of break time, which is stuff like here. So now we have a full clip ready to go for the next room. But this Charybdis Tyrannus did not take a short time. It took quite a long time. I think it was 5-6 minutes maybe. And this is T3 as well. Remember that T3 is very short. T3 is extremely short compared to the T5s and 6s I do. But we also, at the end of the day, have to remember one thing though, one very important thing. Is that this whole fit is not the most expensive one. It goes for 150 million ISK, so even though, okay, yeah, I'm complaining that the tank maybe is not the best, maybe the DPS is not the best, we do always have to remember is that we are using a ship that is not particularly expensive. And that is something I love about using very cheap ships doing these kind of Abyss sites. I can use a Hawk that goes for like 40-50 million ISK. I'm not sure what that fit goes for now, but I can use it and I can do T2s in it solo, and it feels so satisfying, even though it takes a bit of arrest and marshal Disparu. This is the one tough wave. But even though that Hawk is just doing T2s, takes a bit of time to do it, feels nice being able to do it in a cheap fit. Okay, let's go for these NPCs. Which ones are going to get in range first? Seems like it's taking a bit of time for us to get to the marshals, otherwise optimally we want to go for the marshals first since they do the most amount of damage. There we go, take out that pacifier. Take out this marshal now. Just keep moving. We're in a blue cloud, so soon to be in a blue cloud, I believe. Please move, please move. Yeah, we're taking a ton of damage from these guys. Whoa. Overheat that stuff. Need to keep moving. Oh, I see why we're taking a lot of damage. Is this arrest the pacifier? Nah, never mind. Go for the marshal. Just everything on the marshal. Oh, I don't think we'll be able to take out the marshal because I think we're going to run out of ammunition. Have the drones take it? Can the drones do it? Let's see. Oh, we're out of range of that pacifier. Perfect. Oh, and we managed to just destroy the marshal with the last clip of ammunition. That's great. Oh, so I didn't think about that, but yeah, you can get obviously webbed by these frigates here, and that's going to amplify the damage of the marshals so much. So I probably should have gone for those first, because even though the marshals do a ton of damage, they're going to still be able to... It seemed like we were able to sort of outrun the missiles or make the missiles not do a whole lot of damage when just moving fast. But then when it comes to having these guys web us, it's going to be a whole different situation. We're taking 1k volleys. I saw there at one point. Not at all nice. We have to be a bit careful. Skybreaker here does a lot of damage to the drones if the Vorton projector bounces off of us. Yeah, you can see that. Look at that. All our drones are getting slashed. But we managed to slash him first. Good. Get the crate here. Oh, that's a decent amount of loot actually for T3. I'm quite impressed by seeing 3 million in a T3 cruiser. What was the value here? This decayed small, crystalline. It was just this big dump of survey data, I believe. But that site, it went alright. There were some situations where it got a bit hairy, like for example when we encountered the marshals just now, or Charybdis Tyrannus before. But we were able to pilot around it. Charybdis Tyrannus sort of travel a bit perpendicularly from Charybdis, reducing the damage taken. But I'm not sure if it was my piloting or it was just the fact that maybe Charybdis, or it was just that maybe I was lucky that Charybdis Tyrannus moved out of the range of that multi-body tracking pilot. I'm not sure. It's hard to know actually for certain. I should have probably paid more attention to the position there. But Charybdis Tyrannus seemed like it could be a bit risky, but it seemed like it was alright if we were piloting okay, but a bit unsure on the luck factor there. Then when it comes to the marshals, it was also pretty sketchy, but we could have perhaps altered the strategy and focused a bit more on the webbers, because the webbers made the marshals do so much more damage. Otherwise, it seemed like we were doing alright, to be honest. Because this ship does have a decent amount of tank. I mean, 250 HP per second. It's no joke. Again, it's the DPS that is the main downside of this ship. I mean, it's got some DPS. It's not like it's got nothing. A good range and applied well as well. So, I mean, it's not bad. It's not bad, Quick. So I would say that this is an alright fit, but it's got some downsides, as I mentioned before. Perhaps we could try doing this in a gamma. Maybe with increased DPS. Maybe you do like remove one of these and put a DPS module. I'm not sure if that would be any better. But then we're going to have to pay for a more expensive filament. Or we could do it in a dark as well. A dark would be good because we would be taking a lot less damage as well, since we're moving faster. But on the other hand, we will be doing less damage, less application, and there's not going to be a specific resist hole to hit. So that's also a downside there. Completion time was okay. It went like 12 minutes, so it was alright. But that's it. Caracal Navy issue for T3 Abyss. A test here. It was definitely not in vain. We learned something new, how this would work, how sort of a bit like we expected with the low damage taking a long time to do, but it was not too bad. And it's important to outmaneuver certain spawns and prioritize targets like the mushroom. That's enough for now. If you guys have got any interesting or cool fits you like to get tested or showcased, let me know, send me an email. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe. I'll catch you guys later.